So this is a big one for me, Studio Series 86 Devastator.
Devastator!
Not just because it will be my first combiner since I started collecting modern G1.
Devastator wants Devastator!
But because I never imagined I would be going this deep. Transformers was just one line among many I was collecting.
Devastator!
Gradually I zeroed in on Studio Series 86 as a focus, but at that time there were still questions about how extensive and complete this line was going to be. Would the interest be there for collectors over the long term? With the announcement of the Constructicons, I remember thinking, okay, this is now a thing. Hasbro are all in, and I'm all in too. Also, it marks an occasion for me as a lover of Transformers since the age of 7. I grew up in the UK and the Constructicons never came out over here. I knew Devastator was the first combiner and coveted that toy, but unless you had family in the US, that was never going to happen. So this will be the first time that striking green and purple livery has graced a Transformers collection of mine. Spoiler alert, it looks fantastic, and my Decepticon shelf is now a lot more intimidating. Picking up the Deluxes and the Voyagers and getting to grips with Leader and Commander class figures over the past few years has been training in a way. I remember struggling early on with even the most basic guys, Cup and Hot Rod, since modern figures can rely on some pretty intricate techniques in their transformation, and it's easy to get stuff wrong, as I've demonstrated on this channel. Gradually, I've become familiar with what to expect and crucially, how to read the instructions. Deciphering exactly what they're telling you to do, that is half the battle. And I've also discovered that sometimes, once you can intuit what should happen, following the instructions, that can be actually more trouble than it's worth. Bone Crusher and Scavenger are the two Deluxes that form Devastator's arms, and they're relatively straightforward. I'm still amazed, though, by the engineering that leads to such incredible vehicle modes. The robot modes are a little less impressive here with these two, since unlike Menasor and Superion, the other two G1 combiners that have been released more recently, Devastator is not a frame former. The Constructicons are more like a traditional combiner, in that each bot needs to form the limbs or part of the torso, rather than being a decorative element that clips onto a skeleton. In the case of Bone Crusher and Scavenger, this leads to them looking a little stunted in robot mode, particularly Bone Crusher. Being charitable, he looks like a bodybuilder, little legs, big torso. Less charitable, he maybe didn't have enough calcium as a baby, or energon in this case.
The one on the left is mine!
Mixmaster and Scrapper, both Voyager class figures, are much more successful in robot mode. In fact, all the individual Constructicons have the articulation you'd expect from a release in their class. Elbows, shoulders, head, knees, ankle tilt, all that. The notable exception is the lack of a waist swivel or an ab crunch due to their bodies needing a certain level of rigidity to offer support for the larger robot. Sidebar, I've actually used the names of each Constructicon without reference to the boxes or the instructions. I still have to think for a second, but finally they seem to be sinking in. I talked in my rewatch of Season 1 of G1 how the toys came first for me and the cartoon was second in terms of getting familiar with the Transformers, but I was really beginning to despair of ever learning all the Constructicons' names by heart. I guess it's still true now though. Picking up these guys, handling them, transforming them is still how I get to know Transformers the best. So I really hope when I check this script I haven't made a mistake. I'm sure you'll tell me if I have. Now we get to the highlight of the crew for me. I really like Hook. His robot mode is very accurate to his animation model, but it's long haul that really is the standout in these guys. I absolutely love how chunky he is, something I was not expecting. He's the big boy of the group, and because of their various sizes, they really do look like a motley crew when they're all together. The face sculpts are brilliant, and those striking blood red eyes really jump out at you. I'm sure some super collectors will be picking up 2 sets so they can have Devastator and all the individual bots on display. Actually, the super collector would need 3 sets, right? Vehicle mode, robot mode, and Devastator. I'm not one of those guys, but I can understand the desire seeing how good these guys look. Check out this vid, by the way, from TM Reviews about an upgrade kit that allows you to do something similar without shelling out hundreds of pounds. This is a moment I've been looking forward to, recreating the Constructicons' first appearance in Heavy Metal War. So satisfying.
Hey, I didn't send for more equipment.
equipment! Did you hear me? I said!
There's nobody driving.
Right! No one drives us, stupid human! We are the Constructicons!
But how hard is it to put together a modern G1 combiner? The instructions are large and flappy and seem intimidating, but actually it's not bad at all. Like anything, one step at a time and you eventually get there. For the combination, each bot starts in vehicle mode and it's a sequence of small adjustments, folding out some pegs, switching stuff around, so that once they're all ready, they can be clipped together. I do think the addition of the trailer for long haul is a good solution for providing those extra elements that are needed, second only to Motormaster and his trailer, which obviously needs to be there. Silverbolt seems to be the weak link of the combiners so far with his daft extended jet mode. Everything clips together in a fairly logical way, assuming you've remembered all the pegs, and the figure begins to feel remarkably sturdy for something made up of all these disparate elements. The only combiner I had as a kid was Superion, and it was not long before all the heads of the aerial bots, which formed parts of the locking mechanism for his arms, snapped off. There's no chance of that happening here. Transformers engineering has come a long way since 1985. One of my other fears started to evaporate as he took shape and left the frame here. For Devastator to be roughly the right scale, he'd need to be a lot bigger than this. But once I started doing some size comparisons, which I'll show you in a bit, I realized I'm happy with the height he is. In fact, any larger and he wouldn't fit on my shelf, and I do wonder whether that factored into Hasbro's decision when it comes to the scale. It's not just the convenience though. I think any larger and the stability of the figure might be impacted. And boy, is this guy stable. The ratchet joints for the legs lock him in place, and the arms, although not ratcheted, hold their position really well. I was a little disappointed that his hands don't have finger articulation. That would have been cool for making a grasping pose as he goes for a mini-bot. They're certainly big enough for that, but for now it seems that level of intricacy is still reserved for Masterpiece and the third parties. But holy crap! Is he impressive when done? Able to balance on one foot, do a superhero landing, and most important of all, sit the F down. Tearing up crap for Megatron takes its toll, I'm sure. Ultimately, it looks big enough next to the others that you get the impression he's huge, and that's what counts. Scale is all over the place in G1. I don't fancy going over that again, but I wouldn't want a figure much bigger than this. And even next to Magnus, a character who I think they did whiff on when it comes to scale, Devastator still looks imposing next to him. Overall impressions then, wow. In a word, everything I could have wanted from the Constructicons and Devastator, and a great first experience with a modern combiner. I have nitpicks, of course. His right foot, formed by Scrapper, still not checking the names, tell me if I've got it wrong, I hope I've got it right, is a lot less stable than his left foot, and I had a hell of a time trying to get this winged chest piece to lock in place. I think I've figured it out now, but it could still clip on more securely. And what about his backpack, this butt kibble? Got to say, I barely notice it in hand. It could be more discreet, but it's certainly not the massive eyesore it appeared in pictures. I've heard people dislike the fact his legs are slightly off center, but that doesn't bother me either, since when I picture Devastator, in my mind's eye, he's pretty asymmetrical, so those legs kind of just lean into that sense of Devastator I have. He looks absolutely amazing on display, and I'm looking forward in the coming months to that Decepticon shelf getting even more impressive with Megatron, Soundwave, and the 3 original Seekers coming. It's the best time for G1 fans to be collecting since the 80s. I've said that on several occasions, and now, I mean, look at this guy. There can't be any doubt of that anymore. So I'm nearly done, but stick around for a sec, since I want to tell you about my plans for this week. Usually I would post this vid and that would be it, my personal take on an important figure in the line. But this time I want to try something different. I like watching long form videos on YouTube, big meaty, lengthy things. Stop sniggering, either when relaxing in the evenings or falling asleep. And it just so happens I did record the entire process of unboxing, transforming and combining Devastator for this video. So I'm going to edit that together into a longer video for those viewers like me who appreciate having something on in the background maybe while they're doing something else. My plan is to post that on Friday or Saturday, Can't be sure because I've never edited something like this before. Bit of an experiment, but look out for it. It'll be a low energy, relaxing video, a bit like a stream, and an opportunity for me to talk in more depth about some things that I can't fit into a video like this. So just make sure you're subbed so you'll get a notification when it comes up. Don't rely on YouTube's algorithm. Sub so you're in control. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. I've been Napiet, and I'll see you next time.